Welcome to the Billy Ho Forecast Show. Please subscribe and like the video. Remember, the more you share, the bigger we grow. Now, let's go! Hello, Billy Ho here, coming at you with a fantasy football video. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, so I didn't want to do week one early look DraftKings just yet, and I didn't want to delve into like a top 100 rankings and all that garbage. And I thought, well, everybody kind of knows who the top 50 guys are overall, or at least your first round pick, your Jonathan Taylors, your Christian McCaffreys. No. But those typical guys. So I just wanted to throw in, this is going to be Billy Ho's Volume 1 Wide Receiver Sleepers. So most of these guys will have fantasy appeal anyway, but with the right maybe injury or thing go this way or that way, could have massive upside. So what I'm looking at, I'm treating this video like I do my other videos, like we're in a 10 or 12 man fantasy football league, PPR, point per reception league. That's what most people play because it's the most fun. I know there's half point and there's standard and all that, but I don't get into that. These guys that I'm about to mention, there's more than 10, but it's kind of a top 10-ish. I'll try to pinpoint what round you might want to get them in, say a 16 round draft, 10 or 12 man league. Obviously a 10 man league, these guys might not even go drafted, but we'll take a look at that. And let's get started. I'm going to take the first guy I found is Josh Palmer from the Los Angeles Chargers. Josh actually had a really nice rookie campaign last year, as we saw Mike Williams dealing with injuries. And Palmer averaged over 7 targets per game and scored a touchdown in his 3 games with a 60% plus snap share. He was also extremely efficient in the red zone, catching 3 of his 5 total end zone targets for touchdowns. Pretty damn good. He is cut in a similar mode to Keenan Allen, as he's got great separation skills. And Keenan Allen, as we know, has been in the league for a minute. He just turned 30 years old this year, and he's no stranger to injuries himself. So if things break right for Josh, he could be that diamond in the rough type of player and even be like a flex or a bye week replacement, even if Allen and Williams are healthy. I mean, the Chargers they're going to be so pass heavy, and Herbert is so good. Josh Palmer, first pick for a sleeper. Next guy I want to talk about is the other Baltimore Raven receiver. Everybody's all gaga over Rashad Bateman, but this guy is he might be more of a best ball type, obviously, but one thing he can do is take the top off a defense. He can fly, and he also gives you that bonus kick returner stuff. He's also AKA the number 2 wide receiver on the Baltimore offense, who I think should be a little more, I don't know about fast paced, but they run a lot of plays. They're one of the top teams in the league running offensive plays last year. So I think they could throw at least as much or more than they did last year. I don't like the running back situation. I know everybody might think so. J.K. Dobbins is coming off the Achilles. Gus Bus Edwards, he's on the PUP list right now. And I'm not really sure who's behind him that's going to have an impact. So, like I said, everybody's crazy about Bateman, who probably the number one de facto receiver. And obviously, Mark Andrews is going to get probably the most targets. But I think, if you can snag Duvernay in like the 14th or 15th round, that's going to give you plenty of upside. So Duvernay is the second guy. And the third guy is probably a name you've heard dozens of times, but I thought I better include him in this video for credibility's sake, is Gabriel Davis. And because, he had the monster playoff run last year. And this year, he's the locked in number 2 guy alongside of Steph Diggs. The reason I got him on the list is I think he is still going in the 7th round of drafts, which is a little low. Isaiah McKenzie is getting a lot of buzz right now, so maybe that's what's dipping him down. But I think that Buffalo is going to be throwing a lot more, and I think 7th round, not bad for Gabe Davis. I'd probably take it. He would make your third wide. Say you drafted early wide receivers, he'd make a nice number 3 guy flex play as well. I'm definitely not reaching to the 4th or 5th round. Screw that. I think the Bills pass even more this year, and I think Gabe will have plenty of targets, 5 to 8 per game. So he's a number 3 guy. Number 4 guy is going to be one Jerry Jeudy. I think with Denver, I think now with Russ Wilson at the QB, the Broncos pass game should be very efficient. I like Sutton as well. But early 4th round for Sutton, I don't think as good as me getting maybe Jeudy in the 6th or 7th round. I feel like they both have equal upside. Jeudy has great separation, but everybody seems to think, oh, Courtland Sutton, he's obviously Tyler Lockett. He gets downfield. He's going to get her done. Well, it's still a different team, and they're still different people. So you got to keep that in mind. They're not just going to instantly slot in this guy as Tyler Lockett. And you can remember how boom or bust Tyler Lockett was. So give me Jeudy, who might be more of a stable environment. And I think he would be pretty awesome in, say, I don't know, the 7th round. If he's still out there, I'll take it. But number 3 wide receiver again, I think that Jeudy should run a decent number of his snaps in the slot, even though my next guy is listed there. So you got to zig when they zag. But this next guy is kind of coinciding with Jeudy, and it's KJ Hamler, who slots in because of the unfortunate ACL tear of Tim Patrick. And KJ Hamler will probably take on the slot role. He's designated for that, but I think Jeudy will still run some. I throw Hamler in the late round sleeper category if you say you don't get Sutton or Jeudy. So I think he could be that Tyler Lockett type role. And this dude can flat out fly. So he might be a late round steal, like maybe your last skill position player altogether. Next 2 guys I want to mention are on the same team. They kind of coincide with each other. Is, again, the guy I'm sure you have already heard plenty about, Amon St. Brown. And, I'm not doubting Brown as the number 1 guy. He garnered a shit ton of targets. Even early on in the season, he was getting 8-9 targets in certain games, but he was getting like 15 targets toward the end of the season. I think that's unsustainable. Obviously, there's another dude by the name of Jameson Williams due back in October who's going to cut into the upside of both of these guys. The other guy that I wanted to mention along with this is DJ Chark, new addition to Detroit. I think DJ Chark is pretty solid. He's a big 6'4". I think he could be a good red zone target. He can get down the field. And I think he's veteran enough. He could be a good guy for golf. So I kind of put those 2 coinciding. I'm not reaching on Amon St. Brown, but if he does fall to the 7th or early 8 rounds, I might look at that, getting him then. Chark, I think you could get 5 rounds later. That's why I kind of like him. Chark is, like I said, a good red zone target. I think there'll be a few extra TDs waiting for him. And depending on what happens with TJ Hawkinson, who's also a red zone threat, but who's no stranger to injury as well. Now, next guy on my list, I'm kind of interested in after I've been hearing such good things about Mitch Trubisky. Looking good in the new offense, new team. And I think maybe he's a little rejuvenated. This is one Chase Claypool. Now, I know Deontay Johnson will likely lead the way for the wide receiver core, and he can run. But with Claypool, Mitch Trubisky has never had a weapon quite like Chase Claypool. He's a big 6'4" guy, red zone target. He can run just about any route on the tree. He's got great hands. And if he drops to the 8th or 9th round, I think that's a great spot because I think he's got TD upside. He actually needs positive regression in that category because, oh boy, I think maybe scored 1 or 2 touchdowns and that's it last year. But he's a way better receiver than that. I think I don't know if he's as good as Deontay, but he's a different receiver. I think he will be an integral part of the offense. So go Chase Claypool. Next guy on the list, I'm not super bullish about, but I felt I had to mention him, is Alan Lazard, Green Bay Packers. You know, A-Rod has to throw somebody, right? We all know that. Lazard has been the longest, I think he's the longest tenured guy, 4 years or so. He's likely going to be the most trusted. So A-Rod is a trust guy. So I think he will default to Lazard, especially at the beginning of the season. Now, some of these younger guys that they've drafted may actually build trust. So I look forward to that. But as you know, Devontae Adams last year commanded such a huge target share, we could never really get a gauge on how good Lazard was. Now, Valdez Scantling is gone as well. And so I think he gets every opportunity this year, especially early on in the season. Now, the other dude who was a 34th overall pick in the draft this year, Mr. Combine Monster, Christian Watson, I'm sorry. Christian Watson is coming off the PUP list following offseason knee surgery. So these kind of guys, wide receivers, rookies, late to the party, usually take them longer to develop, especially develop a rapport with Aaron Rodgers and earn his trust. So he could be week 8 or 9 before he really starts getting into the groove. You never know. So I'm not looking for him to take a whole lot from Lazard. I think Lazard is good enough to command good target share. And, if he falls to the 9th round or later, I think he's just fine in that spot. All right. Gotta talk about Kansas City. So we got Juju, we got Miko, we got Sky Moore, and we got Valdez Scantling. We got 4 guys that we trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. Now we know Mahomes, uber elite, throws it all over the place. And if you're open, he generally throws it to you. He's not real picky. So we need to figure out who are these guys we want to go with. So Mahomes is going to throw to 1 or 2 of these guys, I think. People don't seem to think Mecole Hardman is going to take that step forward as they spent the draft capital on a similar player in Sky Moore. I'm kind of if you had me rank them, MVS, Valdez Scantling would be last. Because I think he had all the time in the world to try to build that rapport with Aaron Rodgers, and he just couldn't do it. So all these guys are probably best ball type of plays. Obviously, Kelsey's the number 1 guy de facto in that. But if you give me anybody, I'd say 7th or 8th round, I'll take Juju Smith-Schuster because he's reliable, and I know Kansas City's had their eye on him for a couple of years now. And I think they were okay letting Tyreek Hill go. Now, Juju is a different player, but I feel like with the combination of guys they got, Juju is probably going to have the most upside. But he will be the first guy to go for New England, so keep that in mind. Now, the last guy I think we're going to talk about here is almost a no-brainer when I looked at it. I didn't, I was going through trying to figure out, all right, who am I going to polish off volume 1 with? All right, well, that guy is going to be Jacobi Meyers, New England Patriots. I think the 13th round sounds like a plan for a guy who might catch 90 balls, 1,000 yards, maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns, flex play. I think actually what I do think is I think the training wheels come off of Mac Jones this year, and I think the Pats throw a little more, run a little less. They're still going to do RPOs, or they're actually going to institute RPOs into the offense. Josh McDaniels is gone. Insert one Joe Judge. He didn't officially get named the offensive coordinator, but he's got to be the guy. He was the Giants head coach last year who kind of floundered, because the other choice is Matt Patricia, and he is like the offensive line coach. You remember he was god-awful with the Detroit Lions. So the Pats have to do something to keep pace with the Buffalo Bills, and the Dolphins are also improving. The Jets are still a few years away. I think the 126 targets that Jacoby got last year will go up over 135 to 140. I'm not afraid of Devontae Parker. I think he can only help spread the field. So like I said, I think the Pats will institute more RPO, run pass option plays, and that will add targets to Myers' repertoire, because Myers is that short route running receiver. So I don't think they're going to RPO and chuck it down the field. So hopefully he gets a few extra looks on the RPOs in the red zone as well. I could see that on the 5-yard line. You fake your handoff to Ramondre Stevenson, and then you look over and you catch Myers in the corner of the end zone. So that's going to do it for volume 1 of the wide receiver low key, down low, low down and dirty, like my brother Keenan. So I hope you like the show. I hope you like the video. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel. As always, appreciated. I'm going to be back later on in the week with volume 2. I think I'll throw in maybe another 10 or 12 guys at you, and that ought to give you more than enough dudes to rummage through your fantasy football drafts. So until the next video, this is Billy Ho signing off. Peace.